Hello, and welcome to 97.9 Unity Radio, the best sports show in all of Worcester, the 508, coming at you. It is Moneyline, and with me, as always, my co-host and cohort who cannot pay his bills with joy, the voice of reason himself, Frank Cristiano.
I can't even pay him with cash right now. It's so bad. I can't find enough of it.
And 2024's Pop Warner 9-year-old coach of the year candidate.
Yes. Are there trophies for that?
Please,
we
no.
used to have a Pop Warner around here. We still have it, obviously, but it's a little different. But they used to give a patch for everything. Iron Man Award, the first play of the game award, last play of the game award. Kids had jackets and they looked like they were Air Force fighter pilots because they had so many patches all over them.
Do you know how much that Iron Man Award meant to me? You know, we skipped family vacation, so I didn't miss a practice. It was beautiful. It was it was meaningful. I thought it meant something. So you're telling me it didn't mean anything?
It meant absolutely nothing.
Dave, good to see you again. Did you get a haircut in between or no?
No, it wasn't today. It was
Oh, I just noticed it today.
Might have been Friday.
I was too busy staring at Tyler while he was in bed.
That's your fault.
Yeah, it's my fault.
Why does that not sound right?
No, we had Tyler on for Husky Huddle.
Oh, okay.
And Tyler apparently took a break in between sessions, and he went home and took a nap. And I woke him up, and he did the show in bed. So
gotcha.
that was kind of funny.
Yeah, it didn't sound right in the beginning. Thanks for clarifying that.
So a lot
wrong. He doesn't want to be right.
A lot to talk about in the world of sports going on right now. And I would like to start with the surprising, well, to some people surprising, the upset of Alabama by Tennessee. A lot of people thought Alabama, after their big win against Georgia, they were the anointed ones to run through the SEC. But I believe we talked about it. That's the problem with the super conferences. They're going to all beat up on each other. And, there's going to be teams with 2, maybe 3 losses making the playoffs now that it's expanded to 12 teams. What were your thoughts on that game? Voice of reason.
I watched almost the entire game. I had to leave maybe 8 minutes left in the game, but I went to my neighbor's house. So my neighbor, who's a doctor, she was actually a 3-time All-American, 3-time All-SEC at University of Georgia. The University of Georgia. So she was an All-American gymnast, and she's a huge piece in Georgia donations. I mean, she's big time there. So when you walk into the training center for the gymnastics team, you actually have to go through a doorway, and that doorway has like a 12-foot or 15-foot high mural of her face. That's pretty cool. So, she's definitely still very heavily involved in this. So she called me up and said, "Hey, you want to come over and watch the game?" I'm like, absolutely. So I brought the pizza and wings, of course, because that's what I do.
Yes.
And we sat and watched it, and she's a rabid fan. And boy, Georgia just looked the lights out. I can't tell you how impressed I was with their defense the entire game. Well, the first half, it was literally their defensive line was overpowering Texas's line like it was just a Pop Warner line, basically, at one point. Texas could not get anything rolling because of the pressure that was being faced by their front four. Sometimes you see it send one extra guy, but realistically, with a 4-man rush, they were controlling Texas's momentum the entire first half.
Yeah.
Second half, a little bit different story. The line still mattered. It just, you know how it is with home games. Momentum builds. You score one, then you pop another one up on the board over there. Now it's getting to be a little close.
It's tough.
But listen, Georgia edged it out. They fought through a controversial call by the officials, which made no sense. It was a horrible call. Got through that and ended up winning the ball game. I mean, I give Georgia all the credit in the world. It's got to be really hard to go on the road, especially at Texas. Granted, a lot of SEC road trips are very difficult, but Texas, it was obviously looked like it was a hostile environment. And it was. and they really outperformed, I thought.
Well, I was asking about Alabama, but
You asked about Alabama. I thought we were talking about Georgia and Texas.
No, I asked about Alabama. But Georgia,
you did. I apologize.
Georgia, Texas brings to mind something that Dave and I had watched and were quite upset with. And Dave, I can let you start with the narrative here about the officiating per se.
Well, first I'll actually
overall.
First, I'll evaluate your actual question, which was Alabama.
Thank you. I was totally. Was I focused on one thing, Dave?
Yes.
I think you were focused on the wife. The wife's she's a looker. So
yes.
I don't blame you for that one.
Thank you.
Yes. But yeah, you were in the zone, so nobody wanted to.
Don't stop me. I'm on a roll. Yeah, you're right. I'm the voice of reason. You're right.
You can't stop the voice of reason.
Alabama, Tennessee. First of all, Alabama. What people don't realize is Nick's. You don't want to be the guy after the legend. So
always
this guy, no matter whether he's going to do a great job, a bad job, indifferent, unless he's going to match 5 national championships, he's going to be looked at as a failure relative to Nick Saban. So he has a tough job to begin with. Obviously, it didn't help by losing to Vanderbilt. Tennessee is very good. Tennessee is going to be in the playoffs. So the fact they lost 2 games in a row in Alabama, I'm sure it was a shocker. And they've been outscored some crazy numbers since that point when they were leading against Georgia. And there's some things that got to be worked on there. But I think no matter what, one of the things that is interesting about the era of the transfer portal and NIL, I guess, is that you get the right coach in there and you get the right transfers in there, and the university, if you have enough support financially, the name on the university will become less and less relevant. So
it really does.
Yeah. So what Indiana's doing, we talked about earlier, is it's amazing. So, obviously the coach is great, but getting the right players in the right atmosphere. You can look at what Deion's doing. He's had made steady improvement. Colorado stunk before him. Even if they went 500, it would be a monumental accomplishment. But they're going to do better than that. But
although I think he'll probably leave after the season.
Probably he'll probably get. They're saying he might be the first $300 million coach.
My God!
Wow.
Yes.
For college, if he goes to Florida State or something like that.
Yes.
Why are we surprised? I mean, look at the salaries that have come across every aspect of pro sports. And let's talk about kids now who are 18 years old and get millions dropped in their lap.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't be shocked.
But I mean, coaches, I think the top salary is $10 million a year right now is around the top salary for the highest paid coaches, right?
If Deion goes on, no, I'm doing hypotheticals. Let's say Deion wins 8 games with Colorado.
Very true. And his son's
pretty possibly doable. He does that, they're going to view it as this is a celebrity and did it at Colorado. What if this celebrity was at a blue blood, all right, where there is no limitation? So
and look what he did at Jackson State too, with nothing.
But nothing. So we are in a new era, and there's different types of coaches too in this era. There's Deion, who's obviously like a celebrity coach kind of guy. Then there's the guy at Indiana who has obviously been a lifer, but knows how to. He wasn't a head coach until he's 50, but he's developed himself a system and how he does things that is very. It combines the old with the new, So he really he gets the new system. He understands it. And then he leverages a lot of his old school principles at the same time. I mean, that's probably, if you're a lifer coach, that's probably, the kind of guy you have to be, right? So, but there's a mix of different things. Like, Lincoln Riley. People thought Lincoln Riley would be wildly successful at USC. He's struggling. I think part of that is really the Pac-12, other than Oregon, is when those Pac-12 teams go anywhere else to another conference. I think part of it is, Pac-12 really isn't that strong. And when they got to play a hammer schedule every single week, like the Big Ten, I think that has an impact. So it may not be that USC is really not as good as last year or the year before. It's that you're playing a hammer schedule every week. When you're playing a hammer schedule every week, this guy got hurt and that guy got hurt. And, those things matter when it comes to the difference between winning in a kind of a softer environment versus a hammer schedule. And I think that's the biggest difference with the Big Ten and the SEC as far as week in the week out versus everybody else.
Yeah.
They're used to playing hammers, and physically they know what they need at substitutions, not just starters, but substitutions, the kind of guys they need. And they're able to handle that battle every single week. Oregon is the one exception, in my opinion, but yeah. So, and then obviously, what happened last week, referees overall, I think I talked about this earlier. What happened in the Georgia-Tennessee game, that was terrible call. What the fans did was terrible, but
the Georgia-Miami game, right?
No, Georgia,
Texas.
Texas. Texas fans throwing bottles on the field.
On the field, yeah.
We've never seen anything like that. Like you talked about the policy of overturning a call. There wasn't a replay. They conferenced for a while, and that's when they made the decision to
overturn the call, the previous call, which is a really unusual precedent in college football. I mean, they might as well just let them look at penalties on replay then if they're going to do that. Why are we making believe that there's no big screen up above them
that shows everything
replay over and over again? Like, that's just now the referees aren't as good. I believe that. I think they're not as good. I think they're bad in a lot of cases on a lot of these kind of things. But why are we still like in this era where you can't overturn the penalty? But by the way, I have this big jumbotron in front of me, and it's showing me my mistake over and over and over again.
Well, your other idea was great too. Remember? What the referee should be?
Yeah, referees should be AI robots. Of course they should. That's what they should be.
That's the greatest thing ever.
But I mean, our other solution in the interim before that is they should pay them full time in college level. They should be full time paid guys, just like the NFL. They should be full time paid guys. You want to get good referees, pay them full time, like MLB. MLB pays everybody full time. When you make it from the minors to the majors,
yeah,
that's a big deal.
The big thing is this, though. Maybe you could say the officials have gotten worse, or the game has just gotten too fast for them. It's too there's too many good athletes. There's too many close calls. Yeah, we're doing some construction here in the back.
Okay.
There's too many close calls. Everything is a matter of millimeters now. The athletes are faster. They're stronger. They move at such speeds and at such strength. It's really hard to catch a lot of the things.
It sounds like it's a perfect candidate for AI robots to be refereeing the game. They'll have the video already. They'll already have the video, Frank, in their head. So as they're refereeing and as they're running the algorithm of what are the penalties and what isn't, and then they'll also have the video at the same time running through the replay before they make a decision.
That's right. There it is. I don't know. I just think it's gotten, and maybe this is where AI in the future will come in.
I said earlier that this this is the first job that should be replaced as the referees. Yeah.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm trying to find out what we're building here in the background. Hey, what are we building in the background?
Who is that constructing?
I have no idea. It's probably my wife putting up more Halloween decorations.
Oh, you don't actually have a worker here.
No, I don't. I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't found any. Immigration has gotten a little tighter lately, so there's really not anybody available to do any construction.
Yeah, Kamala's getting tough on the border.
Yeah.
Dave, the other thing
is that true?
That she's getting tougher on the border?
A joke.
No, I think I made a little joke there. Yeah.
Dave, I did want to ask you the other news since we're still in college. Michigan, what's going on with them? I mean, they are obviously they lost a lot of talent. They lost their coach, but they have been very, very down, and it was not expected to be as bad as it is right now. What are your thoughts on Michigan and what they should be doing?
I don't know what they should be doing, but obviously they must not have good enough players in there. I really don't know much about like who left, and I just know they obviously had a lot of players that went to the pros.
Yeah, they did.
But yeah, again, like it took Harbaugh a long time to build it up where they were better than Ohio State. Like they were not terrible. They were not the Michigan of old before Harbaugh got there. Harbaugh brought him back to the top. He leaves. Like that's a big deal. Like these things are big deals. Nick Saban leaving is a big deal. Harbaugh leaves is a big deal. Players now, because of transfer portal, are going to go where they think the coach is going to get them where they need to be. And stay. It doesn't matter where that guy is. It'd be a great experiment. But like if Nick Saban showed up at Coastal Carolina as his retirement job, would people roll out there? I think yes. I think he would all of a sudden have a top 15 program in the country immediately within a year, maybe two, because all these guys would just run over there.
And they have the funding.
As long as the boosters run there with him and drop some cash, probably.
They do have the funding for it. I mean, they paid for a Learjet for him to run satellite camps all over the country. So I think they would definitely fund
Coastal Carolina, right?
Okay.
I'm saying if he showed up at Coastal Carolina tomorrow,
right,
he would have a top. If they had enough money to be able to put it out there,
right?
And there's no doubt. I mean, there's no doubt about it. So that part is different in college football, and I don't know. I think, like I said before, I think the fans probably love it. I think if you look at ratings in college football, I bet you they're highest than ever. I bet you the unpredictability is much like how the success is with the NFL.
There's big games every week.
Fans only care about the drama of the sport. And I think that, and if the games are good and there's drama there, that's what's exciting. It's like, it's the best reality television show you could ever possibly grab a hold of.
Yep. And that's why I never understood, Dave, why it was only 2 teams for the national championship. And then we're going to do 4 now. Yeah, I'm still in the favor of adopting the basketball NCAA tournament, and you put in as many as you can physically put in for as many weeks as you can physically play. And that way you've expanded the attention base of not 4 schools, not 2 schools, not even 12 schools. Maybe it's 24 schools. Maybe it's 36 schools. Maybe the regular season has to end for everybody at week 10. And then we get into the playoffs. And then you can have your bowl games as a week 11 consolation for the other teams that didn't make it. But the money would be greater. The enthusiasm would be greater. The followings would be greater. The continuation of college football would be all the way till the end now, because if you're a normal Navy team and you're, 8-2 or 7-3, you're out of it. But now a Navy team in the top 25, even if they have 1 loss, they probably still could squeeze into the 12-team bracket.
The playoffs, yeah, for sure. But I mean, Michigan failed to score 10 points for the first time in 131 consecutive games dating back to a shutout loss against Notre Dame in 2014. They opened the season with Davis Warren, a former walk-on quarterback, but he was replaced after a 3-interception performance at Arkansas State. The quarterback now, Orji,
Orji.
Orji.
Orgy.
Yeah. Oh, he was more of a runner, I think, that guy.
Yeah, he was more of a running quarterback, and he struggled with accuracy. And he's only had 118 total passing yards in wins against UFC and Minnesota before being replaced versus Washington. And Tuttle, who received a 7th year of eligibility in February, had been viewed as the team's best option at quarterback, but his return from an injury to his elbow has continued to be delayed. And he has not, this was his first game. He didn't receive full practice reps until the open week before Illinois. And his arm strength allegedly is back to 95%. Well, I mean, Illinois is better this year. It was Pitt too. And Pitt was ranked 22nd going into this week. So it's good to see that they're steadily climbing back. And I think you're seeing, Dave, now that a lot of these schools are figuring out how to use the NIL, how to put together an NIL collective, and how to market it properly to get these players in, how to use the transfer portal properly. Before, because nobody really knew. I mean, they were just doing it and seeing what happened.
Yeah, but I think it is guys like the Indiana head coach. I saw an article where it says wherever he goes, he just wins. You know, from Indiana, University of Pennsylvania on up, he's had winning records. So he's got, like you said, he has some kind of a formula. But I mean, I think it is more of the coaches than yes, because some of these teams overnight, you're telling me Indiana and Illinois have acquired so much talent because of NIL money that all of a sudden now they're being competitive.
No,
I mean, it's
a culture.
Look at the Big Ten. The Big Ten, Ohio State, Iowa State is in the top 10 right now in the country. Yep. You've got Indiana undefeated. You have Illinois mantling a great season right now for them.
Yep.
First time and a lot of the players that you normally see, Michigan, Wisconsin, you don't even see them. They're not even relevant right now. So yeah, it is turned a little bit, but and maybe just guys coming in. Finally, they're hiring successful people to structure a program top to bottom. It's like corporations. Maybe a corporation, you need a good CEO. Yeah. You need a good CEO to make the corporation run. If not, it's garbage.
Yeah.
So this could be the first time in a while where the sampling has changed as far as who is going to be at the top of the upper half of the Big Ten, which I think is very exciting.
No, I do too. And also surprising, Coastal Carolina, the team that Dave mentioned, fired their offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, Coach Trickett. Got fired. I know because you mentioned him earlier. Because we were talking about the offense that Wake was running.
Well, just got fired. East Carolina's head coach just got released.
A lot of people have been. Utah's coach got fired, and they named Badgeckin interim.
Utah's head coach
OC
got fired
with Ludwig out, or they fired their OC.
Okay, I was going to say because is Whittingham the head coach at
Utah?
Whittingham. They're not going to fire him.
Whittingham, he fired Andy Ludwig,
right?
Or he fired Mike Badgeckin.
Mike Bajakian.
Mike
Bajakian is taking over as OC. Lucan got fired as the OC.
Yeah, Mike Bajakian
UConn struggled.
But those are natural moves too. I mean, at some point, if you're not scoring points, remember it's never when you're the head coach. Yes, you're going to step up there at the podium. You're going to say, "Yeah, it comes top to the bottom of the bottom line." It's everyone else below you first before your head gets chopped. You're not going to kill they can't get rid of him in the middle. To get rid of a coach in the middle of the season, that's drastic. What East Carolina did, getting rid of their head coach, that's drastic. Yeah. I mean, I know they expected more success, and since his hiring, he's way under 500 as far as a record. I think he's got like a 34% winning percentage. But I mean, that's drastic to get rid of your head man. So bottom line, during the season, you always see a little bit of attrition here or there. If things aren't working out right on either side of the ball, those guys are the first ones to go.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have a short string. you do not have a long time to win. I mean, it's either now or they're going to make it.
There's a lot of money on the line. Hey, you
There
got a lot of companies that are shelling out money to try to get these kids into the school. You're paying for it. All of a sudden, you're not successful. You're going to be gone.
No, they are for sure. They are for sure. Oregon is now ranked number 1. Do we both agree that that's where they belong? They prove that they're the number 1 ranked team in the country.
Yeah, well, because everyone loses every week, so that's why they're number 1. I don't know if they'll
end up that way. If it'll stay that way.
I don't know if it'll stay that way, but they're undefeated. Who did they beat a couple of weeks ago?
Ohio State.
Ohio State was a big win.
Who was number 3 at the time? That was 2 versus 3. So Texas went. Texas.
They shut out Purdue.
I'm always skeptical when Texas is number 1. Like, I know these guys that have moved into the SEC they believe that they're ready, but Oklahoma and Texas.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big jump.
You don't have the defensive linemen that these guys at Georgia have. You don't have them. Tennessee has them. Alabama has them. Yep. You don't have the defensive linemen that those guys have. You might have some offensive linemen, but their D linemen, especially their interior, they are jacked. They are huge. They are dogs. I mean, that's the SEC, man. Defensive line. If you don't have a defensive line, which means you can't run the football. If you don't have the guys that are up front, that means the other team's going to run the ball on you. And in the SEC, that's a problem. And that means that the flip side, you can't run the ball. That's what happens to these teams when they run into these guys. They can't run the ball. Now, sometimes you get a team that has the ability to throw it all over the yard, and then maybe they have a chance. But Ohio State is not – they throw it all over the yard. They cannot beat them. The only team that's been able to win is Michigan, and that's when they had enormous offensive line that could push their defensive line.
Yep, and the strong running game.
So will the NILs change, Dave? In other words, hey, the quarterbacks are getting money and receiving. Will the offensive linemen start getting some money?
Dave was just talking about this. Yeah, Dave thinks that the O-line should get paid some big bucks.
My theory, Frank, is that because we were talking about this with UConn. My theory is now there's different levels, right? So Big Ten, SEC, you can get 5-star skill guys. You should pay those, your receiver, your QB, your running back to 5. Outside of that, I think, because I think the SEC, you probably have money to pay all those guys, but in the Big Ten, including the linemen. But I think if you're not in one of the top tier programs, I would be paying offensive linemen and defensive linemen, because if you have those guys, and then obviously you got to pay a quarterback, okay? I think you can get really good running backs and really good receivers and probably pretty good tight ends to fit what you want to do on offense. I'm not saying you're going to get with the 5-star guy like Jeremiah Smith, who obviously makes an impact, but there's a lot of the guys in that in-between Division I level. Like these guys there's a lot of Division I wide receivers, running backs, tight ends that can do the job, okay? And I think that there is not many great offensive linemen and there's not many great defensive linemen. And if you have those two groups of guys, immediately, you'll be able to compete. That's my thing.
I'm just so amazed. I'm so amazed at how we've gone in maybe 10 years. In 10 years ago, we were the programs were like, we got to show these athletes what we have here on campus, what we can offer them. We have to show them the amenities that they'll have, the weight rooms. We're going to show them,
arms race.
we're going to show them the past players that have gone on to the NFL or have made it here as All-Americans at our school. We need to show them the tradition of the program. We need to show them what academics we have here in case they do want to further themselves and move on after graduate. Now it's just like we just got it's what's his name, Tom Cruise. Show me the money.
Show me the money.
That's it. It's show me the money.
Yeah.
Now, you think any of these kids right now, if they're getting money thrown, they're like, man, I wonder what the chemistry program is like at UConn. What's the, if someone's going to dump $1 million on a lineman because they need him at UConn, how's the communications up at UConn? I think these kids, it's crazy. I'm just blown away by this in a 10-year period how we've turned around.
That's the joke of it all too. To me, is like use UConn for example. Like when I hear guys talk about join the C club and these players don't give a shit about any of that stuff.
No.
They care about what you're going to be able to do, who my coach is, what he can do, what kind of facilities you have for me to work out in to get better. Okay. And by the way, I guess I got to go to class. Okay. Just please.
Yeah. Just got to stay eligible.
Just give me a tutor or give me someone that looks like me just to go to the class and fill my name out.
Well, the funny part is
this test for me too. I mean,
yes.
We used to scoop in the urinal and take the pee out of there. The funny thing was at UConn, if you wanted to be a certain major, they would tell you that you couldn't.
Really?
I defied that, by the way, when I was in college.
You did? You did?
Because I heard you talking about that.
What did you want to be or do?
The first semester, I knew I wanted to go be in a business school, but my first semester, I was doing the fuck around like everybody else. And my father yoked me up when I came home. And he said, you will graduate in 4 years.
Well, you didn't get on like Act Pro or anything.
No, I was a 2.5 my first semester.
Yeah.
But then I ended up being like honor roll like rest of the way, or whatever they call it. Dean's List, but
C club.
But yeah, no. He said you ain't doing that stuff. So I was a business major. I got into the business school. I was a finance major. I graduated finance, and I got my MBA. So I did my 5th year. Like my 5th year, I went when I was graduating undergrad. I still 1 more year of playing. I sat with Skip Holtz, and he's talking to me, and I said, I'm not sure if I'm coming back. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, he's like, you had a really good year. You just moved to linebacker. You started like the last half of the year, since you moved. I said, I graduate in May. I said, but if you help me get into the MBA program,
I'll stay.
I will stay. And you know what happened? I got into the MBA program.
Yeah.
Forever indebted to Skip for that one. So, and my GPA was, I think I was like 3.0, but most of the people at MBA, if business school,
very competitive there.
Yeah, they're like 3.7, 3.8. So there's no doubt Skip made a call and said, hey, if there's any way you can get this guy in, we need him for at least 1 more year, And
young kids out there, young kids that are listening to this story, always remember, I tell my son this as well. It's not about what you know.
Yep.
It's about who you know.
Correct.
And it was funny because I was talking with Shane and Shank and a couple other guys who wanted certain majors, like engineering or whatever. And they were quickly told, no, you cannot be that. You can be either communication or sociology or HDFS.
No. So I love Bev. Okay, Bev
was.
Bev has said to all of us. I waited till everybody left, and I said to Bev, Bev, I'm getting into the business school. Okay, I'm very smart. I'm gonna get into the business school. She's like, it's very hard. You gotta stay.
I
don't remember what I said. Don't worry. I'll get it done. She's like, okay. And I did it.
Yeah.
That was my conversation. See,
That's
I just didn't take no for an answer.
That's amazing. That's
By the way,
amazing.
I wasn't coming home next semester if my father would not let me in the house.
Yeah, if you didn't get your
I didn't
MBA,
get on that track either. I mean, listen, my father deserves a ton of credit. Like he wasn't putting up. You know, I could have went to Princeton. You know what I mean? I went to
No, I
took a
know.
scholarship. So like he wasn't putting up with any. My father was not putting up with any BS. You know, so
No.
But
listen,
yeah.
if you did the fuck around, I know I did the sodomy around because I got a 1.8. I got a 1.8 my first when I transferred from Arizona State. Yes, absolutely, the other end. So I did. I transferred from Arizona State to Cortland State. I went state to state, large to small.
The sodomy in the butt.
Yes.
Oh,
for those that do not know,
I don't want it to go there.
Right. Well, then don't do it. Okay. So I after the semester was over, I put at a 1.8, and my own line coach sat me down. And he goes, "Son, you're not going to make it." And I mean, what do you mean they're not going to make it? It was like the Animal House, Mr. Blutowski, 0.0.
Was Arizona State that much tougher than Cortland?
No.
Didn't care?
No. And when I got to Cortland, I found nightlife and alcohol. There was not that much to do. It's a much smaller school,
right?
So, and I never drank in high school.
Yeah,
and so I went to Arizona State. I had, but when I got to Cortland, it was debauchery for like a whole semester.
So how did you do better at Cortland than Arizona State, where there was nothing to do?
I don't understand the question. How did I do better?
You said you got a 1.8 at Arizona.
At Cortland. I got a 1.8 my first semester. I
misunderstood.
I like Dave. I ended up with a 3.05 or 3.1 at Cortland coming out of there when I'm done. I had a phys ed major. That was phys ed history.
Yes, right.
So I had it, but my first semester I screwed up too, so you gotta stay on the course. But I understand exactly where Dave's coming from. But unfortunately, coming out of Cortland, I had no one to call or to help or to get me in any kind of extra program.
You didn't want to get your MBA though.
No, I wanted out of there faster. I wanted out of there faster than I could blink my eyes when I was done.
You would always
student teaching. I'm not doing that shit. I'm not sitting in a room. I know I was never going to teach. So.
You always said your college degree was useless.
Yeah,
you didn't need it.
My father was always. Obviously, I was very focused in sports and I think, and I was a very good student in high school. But like my parents are divorced, so my mother threw me out of the house to live with my dad because I was too hard to handle. When I turned 17, my junior year, so I was always like, I had the ability to be a really good student, but I was always on the edge of like, what was I gonna do? So he was like, "This ain't happening," This ain't. I'm on the edge of doing, right or wrong, or so. But it was the greatest thing ever for me when he told me. He's like, "Yeah, that ain't happening."
Did you ever watch the Jersey Shore on MTV?
Oh, of course.
I could picture you being Ronnie
before there was Jersey Shore. Those guys. Let me tell you something. Those guys
GTS.
are not even from Jersey. Okay?
They're not. No, none of them were.
Not even from Jersey. They are not the Jersey Shore.
They were fake.
Now, Steve, if you went down the Jersey Shore with me,
with the real Jersey Shore,
that was the Jersey Shore, my friend.
No, I could totally picture you like Ronnie from the Jersey Shore would be like you.
Much better looking version, much taller.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They weren't dumb with the girls. They didn't know. They didn't.
I don't think you would have got with Snooki. I think you would have turned Snooki
down. Of rocks, those guys. They're boxes of rocks.
You weren't in the Snooki at all.
No, golly.
Yeah, I didn't like her.
That they portray her. There's so many great looking girls in New Jersey. I can't.
And they brought her. Yeah,
they brought Snooki.
Yeah. Switching gears to the NFL. The other news of the week. Why are you laughing?
From the Jersey Shore, switching away from social calamity.
How do you segue from the Jersey Shore into anything?
How did you bring it up in the first place?
Shouldn't we be telling great stories about the Jersey Shore? I mean,
true.
I mean, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I mean, that's the Jersey Shore.
I've never been there.
I've been there twice, and I don't remember.
Go back to the NFL.
Yeah. I wanted to say Deshaun Watson ruptured his Achilles,
and Cleveland fans had a party.
And Cleveland, I mean, talk about one of the worst trades ever. They said the Herschel Walker trade was the worst trade ever.
Yeah.
I would have to say at this point,
At least Dallas got Herschel Walker.
The Deshaun Watson trade is worse than the Herschel Walker trade.
Yeah, it's working out that way.
It's the worst in NFL history.
It's working. It's up there. It's working out. It's working its way. Granted, unless they release him on this and have to pay the balance of the contract there,
I don't
we won't
think they
know.
can. That's the thing.
Well, it's going to eat up so much of the cap. I mean, how are they going? How are they going to be able to pay anybody else to get the job done? So
they said if they released him, they wouldn't have enough money to even fund a team on minimum salary.
Right, but and here's the confusing part. Here's what I don't understand. Jameis Winston was inactive. There's got to be some kind of internal conflict there. He was inactive for they named Dorian Thompson, whatever the guy's name is.
He went in as the number 2.
They named him the number 2 before the game started, and then all of a sudden Watson goes down, and that dude's in, and he's been in before. We've seen him last year.
Yes.
And he's competent, but he's not.
He's a Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah. And I don't even think he's that much, but I mean, bottom line, he's competent a little bit to go in there as an emergency replacement. But now you're talking. So now they're going to reactivate Winston, and Winston's going to come back, and everything's good. Why would he?
It improves.
Why would he be inactive for this game? I have no idea whatsoever. Unless again, demoting him to third or demoting him to. I mean, he's not a practice squad emergency guy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's got to be something going on in that locker room. Yeah. There has to be some. There's something wrong internally with that whole organization right now. Within 6 months' time of them actually being a contender and actually having a positive outcome last year with having Flacco. Now all of a sudden,
saved them,
but now all of a sudden it's like total chaos in that organization, top to bottom, from ownership to head coach to players. I mean, I can't describe it.
They were
and with the public, the guy goes down, blows his. You can see it on film. Blows his Achilles tendon out like someone shot him with a sawed off, and the fans are cheering. They're like, "Yeah, this is great! Get him out of there!" Who are they bringing in? Dorian Thompson. I don't know the rest of his name. Oh shit!
Well, they
UCLA.
Yeah,
they were at least 5-1 last year when he got hurt.
No,
this year
I know that they are. I'm telling you, it's a total 180 within like 6 months.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
So what is going on?
It does not make sense at all. Dave, what were your thoughts on that? That Watson ruptured his Achilles, his guaranteed $230 million over 5 years has not exactly worked out. I believe this was
buy himself an island,
and a lot of baby oil.
Start having the freak off.
Order himself some workers.
It'll just be massage off.
Who's the guy that had the island? Epstein. Yeah, by Epstein's Island. Yeah, he flew all the people there. He flew everybody. Even Donald Trump was there. Clinton's, Oprah, they were all there.
Where was the island?
I don't know. Somewhere in the somewhere off the coast of Florida. So probably some little dump strip, whatever. And he turned it into a palace.
I think you and Dave,
where he brought minors,
should put your money together and invest in an island.
Yeah,
I want to buy an island.
That's exactly what I need right now. Steve, is an island. How did you not know that,
Dave? I think that's a perfect investment. I think we need to go with an island.
No,
I'll give you like $500.
It got a bad name.
It got a bad name.
It went from Fantasy Island to Epstein Island. That's great.
Right. Yes.
That's crazy how that happened. I didn't know that they didn't go to Winston.
No, he's inactive.
That doesn't make sense. The other news of the week: the Jets, dismal again. Dave, what are your thoughts there? Aaron Rodgers. They brought in Devontae Adams. And I don't even know what to say. Robert Saleh, 7-10 last year. I still think he should have been coach of the year with winning 7 games with that dumpster fire. Now they're even a bigger dumpster fire. Can they resurrect themselves? Do they have a chance the second half of the season to go on a run with Devontae Adams and maybe getting some things right?
Does anyone care?
Well, you're a New York guy, a Jersey guy.
My son cares because he's a Jets fan, so he's decided on a life of torture. But
don't call it gangrene for nothing, right?
Oh my god, I don't. But I remember when he said that he liked the Jets. We were like, oh no.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, who else
like,
can you go with in New York other than Buffalo? I mean, the Jets and Giants.
No,
I mean,
why? If you're going to New York, there is nothing right now. So, yes. But especially, I guess when he was starting to figure that stuff out, there still was nothing. You're right. So what do you really choose? You know, you can't choose. I wish you could say you could choose my Cowboys, but they're not much better.
The New York Liberty, they won the WNBA championship. You can make him a fan of them.
Anyone watch that?
Absolutely not.
No, they had good ratings. They might have. Maria will have a lot to say about that.
They got over 1 million ratings. I think they have over 1 million viewers.
There's some big.
I think so. Yeah, they've been teetering around 900,000 for all the playoff games. I think the finals got over 1 million.
There is some big WNBA news.
They lost $40 million this year. That was the news. That's what I heard. Well, they did. The organization did. The whole league did lose $40 million.
Did they really?
Yes. The investors are asking, "Where's our money from all this found success over this last season?"
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Absolutely, because remember, and they're still not going to turn a profit to be able to give money to these investors. Well, they haven't, but they're never going to be able to for a long time. Eventually, hopefully, they will, but they won't because bottom line,
30 years,
they're getting a huge TV deal now. But all of a sudden, all that translates into larger salaries and more teams being brought into the league.
There are expansions,
and they're going to do what every woman does when you give her a credit card. They're going to eat that sucker up till the limit gets blown.
Women are fiscally irresponsible?
Many women are fiscally irresponsible.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
I didn't know that.
I am saying that. If I'm wrong, please send your messages into the show and let me know that I'm totally incorrect on this one.
Well, we'll definitely get them. I can promise.
I'm sure.
That.
Yep.
But the WNBA, the big news coming out is the players opted out of the new CBA, the new collective bargaining.
Because they want more money because the television deal got bigger.
But they just signed it. They just signed it a month ago.
They should hire the guy who represents the longshoreman.
Oh,
right.
That's who they should hire immediately.
Right.
To negotiate their deal. He will tell them to sit on the ground, protest, do whatever they have to do.
Right.
That's what got the longshoreman done.
Women's basketball until they get paid.
What are these avid fans going to do if there's no WNBA?
Well, I was just surprised because they literally agreed to the CBA like 2 months ago, and it was a 10-year deal.
Right.
Substantial increase across the board.
Yeah.
Player salary, television rights, all that.
Right.
And then now all of a sudden they're opting out. They're saying they're going on strike or opting out.
Right, because they're still not getting enough.
I just don't get it.
Because probably I remember seeing
you sign a deal and then go back on it a month later.
I remember seeing. I don't know if it was one of the coaches of the WNBA or one of the maybe it was the commissioner. I'm not sure, but they thought that the deal should have been $4 billion. $4 billion. Well, it's 2.1 now.
Okay,
that's what they signed the deal for, and she thought it should have been double that.
Never made any money.
Television rights, right? Yeah, right. That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah,
you know what this all goes through? It all goes through this whole movement over these last 3.5 years of equal rights, equal pay, equal everything.
Title IX
and not Title IX's been there for a long time, but it's this big surge into trying to make everything equal.
Well, because women don't get paid as much.
Let me tell you something. I'm not going to get into that.
They don't.
They don't get paid as much in what?
As men do.
In what?
Salaries.
In what?
All across the board. The average male salary.
And tell me what the average male is doing for employment and what the average female is doing for employment.
Well, I don't have that information.
Right, and that's what you need to know about. Right? There's no bricklayers and high wire guys and electrical. Power. No one's sending a woman up to the power line to be able to touch a 5,000 volt.
That makes the difference.
Absolutely, it does. Absolutely, it does. Absolutely, it does.
All right.
And they haven't been in the corporate structure long enough to be able to get all these CEO jobs. I think these CEO jobs. Yeah. Where's my CEO job? I don't have it. I'm a white male. It's just because it doesn't happen to everyone that easily. It takes years and years and years of effort put in, and many have put in the effort and have not been rewarded. And I understand that. But bottom line, life is not fair. Life is not fair.
Life is not fair.
It isn't. Okay. It isn't. You can't have everybody have the same thing across the board. If not,
but it's communism.
No, it's not communism. Okay, but bottom line, what it is it stops Good thought. It stops energetic work. It stops everything. There's
nothing to
there's
work
no competition. There's no sense working any harder than the other guy because everybody's getting the same.
No, I get that. I was just surprised that they opted out.
They want more money. They don't like the deal.
With the historic 2024 season, they thought they deserve more.
Yeah.
Dave, I know you're not a big WNBA fan.
For not for opting out of the collective bargaining agreement, is they should have to move into an apartment building in either Springfield or Aurora.
Springfield,
like Survivor. Should be like Survivor. So
just can you see the big apartment complexes in Springfield? No pets allowed.
The Venezuelan gangs are on the outside.
No pets, please. No pets.
If they get out, then they get their CBA.
I think that's fair.
That would be fun.
Survivor WNBA. Survivor WNBA. If you can get out of the apartment complex alive.
So quickly, I want to go to
the Venezuelans.
The Giants losing to the Eagles. Saquon basically says "F you" to everyone. What were your thoughts on the Giants getting smoked by the Eagles? And is it time for the Giants to say goodbye to Daboll?
To me,
yeah.
I mean, right now, I think it's
Daboll and Shane go.
I think Shane, the GM is first has to go
because they let Barkley just
Daboll, yes,
over like $2 million.
Yes. And this Tracy Jr. actually looks okay. He actually looks like
Tracy Jr.
Tracy Jr. looks like he'll be okay in there, but they're missing so many more pieces.
They are,
and they put their entire. They were sitting at the Texas Hold'em table, and they went all in with a pair of deuces. Right?
Well, 7 deuces.
Yeah, right. No, but they went all in with a pair of deuces. They went all in with nothing.
With that, yeah.
You're going, oh, who evaluated this guy? Who are these guys sitting down going, you know what?
I know you don't.
After 4 years, we can
Daniel Jones, he's the guy.
We can make it work. Yeah. This is the guy. I think we can make it work. But you know what? Not only make it work, we're so scared that we're going to let him go and ruin another team. Let's give him more money to stay here so he can ruin us. Yes.
And let's
unbelievable.
Saquon go beat our ass.
Unbelievable.
Dave, what were your thoughts of Saquon's performance against the Giants?
It was great.
I was rooting for him too, and I was a pseudo Giants fan. It was great to see that happen.
What did they trade for? Like a guard? They got rid of Saquon and they got a guard in his place.
They got crap in his place. They got Devin Singletary, and they signed a bunch of stupid free agents.
Devin Singletary, that general manager right now,
Joe Shane.
He should have to walk through the fans after the game, right through the stadium. They should be able to beat the living shit out of him as he comes down the staircase there from watching a game at MetLife. It is a joke that his kid. If you ever see the viral little clips of him asking his kid, who should we pick? His freaking 14-year-old kid is smarter than him.
He is
much smarter than him. He named off 5 guys right off the bat. Yes, those are the guys we got to go get.
Yeah,
and they sat back and go, you know what? And then, granted, they were talking about the draft, but you know what? We need to keep Daniel Jones. And Saquon's asking for too much. Let's let him go. Who's gonna pay him next day?
They didn't think anyone's gonna pay him.
Philly, hello. Here's the money.
And they could have matched it and decided not to.
Stupid.
And lastly, we'll go with the. And
that guy makes money. That GM makes millions. Give me money.
He does.
Give me the money. I'll do a better job. Without a doubt.
We've said that. We're gonna shoot a pilot for a reality show of you being a general manager.
The general manager. I'll make all the decisions for the team, and then we'll compare it at the end of the season and see what happens.
The Washington football team.
Yes.
Jaden Daniels.
No, it's not the Washington football team.
I know you're back on the reservation.
No, but it's not. It's
the Redskins.
For me, it's the Redskins. Yes. For you, it's the Commanders.
No, I'm with the Redskins.
Okay.
I hate the Commanders.
All right, then let's call it the right way. Then it's coming back. The Redskins will be back.
The Commanders is the stupidest name ever.
Thank you.
The quarterback goes down.
Yep.
Daniels goes down.
Yep.
And they still come out victorious. They smoke the Panthers.
They have a competent backup who has been a starter for several years on a good team. He had some great runs. He can still play a little bit.
But you know why they were successful? Because of everything you have said. they run the exact same offense with Jaden Daniels in there as they do with Marcus Mariota.
Exactly.
And they didn't change a beat.
Why would they have to?
The scheme didn't change.
I have to say, you're not totally correct on this. The reason they won the game is because they're playing against the worst team in the NFL right now, the Carolina Panthers. And Andy Dalton. Now it's coming through to show that he doesn't have enough pieces around him to actually make stuff happen, and he looked terrible.
But they also said it was because the offense didn't change.
It doesn't have to, right? It doesn't have to because you got another athletic guy behind Jaden Daniels. Granted, not at that level, but he's a guy who can move a little bit still. He's a guy that can throw a little bit too. That's why I think the future of the NFL is 3 quarterbacks, $10 million apiece, whatever it is. Because bottom line, maybe they'll be fighting in between each other to try to get the starting spot. But I'm watching the game tonight. I mean, this guy's dropping left and right on the field. Yeah, it's a different game, man. You've got to be 3 deep at positions, not 2 deep anymore.
It is. And it's tough with a 53-man roster.
Well, that's where they got expanded. If anybody needs to expand and put more money into it, the NFL does.
They do.
Not the WNBA.
Dave, your thoughts? Jaden Daniels going down, Mariota, who I know you worked with, coming in, performing well, and the Skins come away with the big win against the Panthers.
Yeah, so I think that what Frank said is right. You're having a guy that matches what your system is as your backup, and it works out wonderfully. Mariota is a very, very good backup to have in the NFL. Obviously, he started quite a few games, it's about running the right system. Washington, whatever you call them, will are really in great shape, and
they're going to win the division. Yeah,
they look fantastic. Whatever what you call them, whatever you want, just call them champions.
Hopefully. I mean, listen, the Eagles are still there, and I'm not counting them out. And this win against the Giants may have invigorated them a little bit, but I don't know. Dallas is having their problem. I don't understand. I do understand what Dallas's problem is. There's 2 problems. 1, they can't run the ball.
Well, Jerry Jones.
And 2, they can't stop the run. That's all, basically. They're light across the front. Yeah, well, that's his fault. And he's over there criticizing the 2 interviewers over there on the radio station in Dallas.
Yeah, he went off a little bit.
He went off on him over there because they should be questioned.
Yeah,
he should be questioned.
He should be questioned. It's his team.
Right.
He makes all the decisions.
He's a GM and the owner.
You got to face the media.
He's pulled the trigger. Yeah. So just like the Giants went in and made a decision that Devin Singletary is the guy for us, Dallas went in and said, you know what? Zeke looks so good.
Let's bring it back.
Zeke looks so good with New England. We got to bring him back. At least he knows the system, be comfortable. Maybe he'll be our backup. I don't think he'll be the starter. And they get no depth whatsoever at the running back position. All of a sudden, Zeke's got to take a few carries. Then they're like, oh my God, this guy's dead.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Right. And then they have no one else there. Yep. And so now, even if you have questions about Dak Prescott, right, you can't really evaluate the guy totally. Because they're just pinning their ears back and coming after him. They're like, hey, man.
I just submitted my first ever
college application
to Cortland.
Yeah, my kid submitted his college application to Cortland.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Cutler Cristiano submitted an application to Cortland State University.
Right. Looking to follow in the old man's footsteps.
All right. Well, on
that note,
another spirited episode of Moneyline for the voice of reason, Frank Cristiano.
Yes.
Back on the reservation.
I am.
The Redskins.
I am.
And 2024 Pop Warner Coach of the Year candidate in the 9-year-old category.
Yes.
Coach David Schuman. I am their host, Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. This is Moneyline on 97.9 Unity Radio. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges and throw them back